If you've been struggling with motivation, inspiration, and doing what you're supposed to, today's guest will inspire you because he is somebody who had a heart attack, had incredible experiences in life, and then it all went downhill with his heart attack, and he still had to find his motivation and inspiration. So today we'll be talking to our guest about how to stay inspired even when life knocks you down.
Welcome to Thriving Launch with Luis Congdon and Kamala Chambers, the show for heart-centered entrepreneurs who want it all.
Hey, it's Kamala, and I want to help you start a podcast that grows your following. Right now, podcasting is changing, and the old way of starting a podcast could actually just end up slowing you down, wasting your time, and leaving you feeling overwhelmed. I've been there and I've done that, and the problem is that 99% of even the most successful authorities aren't up to speed on the one strategy to launch a podcast that's going to grow your loyal following, get your message heard, and bring in new customers. So Luis and I have put together a free masterclass where we're going to give you our number one strategy so you can launch a podcast from zero and 5x your following that attracts new customers. So go ahead and grab that masterclass at paidtopodcast.com. That's the number 2, paidtopodcast.com.
Today's guest is Dan Clark. He is a former NFL football player and star of the American Gladiators. He's been sharing everything he's learned about happiness and what makes life worth living as a writer and a speaker. He's also been on shows like Good Morning America, The Early Show, Access Hollywood, Entertainment Tonight, ESPN, People, Time Magazine, and many other notable publications and television stations. And today, Dan's going to talk to us about what it was like to overcome his heart attack and find inspiration after all his successes. All right, Thriving Launchers, we are here with the man, Dan Clark. Dan, are you ready to launch?
Let's get this party started.
So, hey, Dan, you've overcome a fair amount of adversity in your life, had a lot of challenges, and you've also created some incredible successes in your life. And one of the keys that I've found to anyone who's successful in anything in life is that they've built this kind of resilience. They've built this layer that allows them to kind of take the punches of life, so to speak. And I'm curious to hear from you. What's kind of one of the first things you think about that's helped you really build that resilience to keep moving forward and pushing beyond those obstacles?
Well, I agree with you, Luis. We've all faced setbacks, whether it's a business deal gone bad, whether it's the death of a dream, losing someone close to you. But the key to facing any setback and having the ability to make a comeback is first, you have to believe. I had a heart attack a few years ago. And when I had the heart attack, I remember lying in the hospital. And my first thoughts were, why me? Why me? Why me? I ate great. I worked out like a beast. I took all the right supplements. And laying there in the hospital that day, I was depressed. I was beaten. And I couldn't find a good way to make a comeback until I changed the question I asked myself. Instead of feeling like a victim and being a victim and feeling sorry for myself and asking why me, I changed the question to what could I be given the circumstances? And once I changed the question, I changed the locus of control and focus, new ideas and new thoughts came tumbling in. So instead of why me, it became what could I be? And some of the things I thought, given the circumstances, maybe I could be someone who could show people how to come back from a heart attack. Maybe in the best instance, I could be someone who took a personal tragedy and turned it into a gift of inspiration for others. So when I changed my focus and started asking myself better questions, I got new answers. So start any setback you have, start asking yourself a better question.
Wow, it's a really interesting thought experiment that you can have with yourself with that. And what are some ideas that you have on some ways that we can remember to do that when we're in those hardest places in our lives? Sometimes it's hard to even remember to practice these things. Do you have any touchstones that you can help plant seeds so we can remember this later
Well,
on?
yeah, Kamal. I think first it starts with the phrase. It starts with the belief. It starts with a personal a statement, and it could be something as simple as, "I believe for every setback, there's a chance to come back and rise." So that was my mantra as I came back from the hospital, and I remember, based upon that belief, how each day it pushed me to extend my reach beyond my grasp. So the way that looks in action is when I got home from the hospital the first day, they said, don't lift anything heavy, don't take out the trash, be careful of walking downstairs. So that first day home from the hospital, I made a goal for that day. And my goal for the whole day was to walk down 22 stairs from my bedroom to my refrigerator and touch my kitchen or touch my refrigerator and not die. The second day, I extended my reach. I said, okay, I'm going to walk down my stairs and I'm going to go touch my mailbox. The third day, it was touch my neighbor's door. So when you're making a comeback, when you're trying to find a way to gather the strength to do something, give yourself a small goal each day, and each day build upon that goal. Does that make sense?
It makes complete sense. It makes a lot of sense that regardless of wherever you're at, that we can set goals and then keep building on those goals. One of the things I'm curious from you, how does somebody make those small goals and not feel down about themselves, because you're somebody who has accomplished a lot physically, and then to go from being somebody who's in great shape, has done a lot, to your goal is go down a flight of stairs and touch your fridge. How do you create a mindset that makes you feel okay about that?
Well, I think the biggest problem that people fall into, and I was so guilty of this, I fell into the I'll be happy when syndrome. This is pre-heart attack. I'll be happy when I book the big deal. I'll be happy when I get a bigger house. I'll be happy when I get the promotion. I'll be happy when I find the perfect mate. And we put off our happiness and tie it to these big, big achievements. But what I've learned is what creates happiness and gives us the strength to go on is the ability to find gratitude and happiness in the small moments and in achieving the little things. The scientific research tells us that it's not the magnitude of experiences that create happiness so much, but it's the frequency. So I have a little tool, and it's very, very scientific, that I learned because after the heart attack, I realized I was given a second chance. And that goal was not to only come back, but to come back a better human being. So I created this tool based upon years of research and looking at all the latest scientific studies on what makes people happy, what creates a meaningful life. And this tool I came up with has to do with the word ka-ching. Now, before you guys go think I'm talking about Confucius and some ancient Chinese philosophy, I want you to start thinking ka-ching as putting money in the bank. But instead of putting money into a regular bank, what I do every day is I put money into my happiness bank. What we focus on in life grows. So what I've done each day is I find three things, simple things, moments of, human connection, beauty, and joy. It could be something as simple as, the sun's out and it feels good on my face. Or, I love to see, my child smile or laugh. Or I get in the car and my favorite song happens to be playing on the radio. When I come across one of these moments, I use that ka-ching sound, like I'm putting money in the bank, but like I said, I put it into my happiness bank. So I'll say, oh man, thank you for, the sun. Thank you for, that breeze against my face. I'll vocalize it, go ka-ching, put it into my happiness bank. And I found doing these little things every day caused happiness to beat a path to my door. And that gave me strength every day, and it kept me very present and focused.
Yeah, it's so beautiful that we can actually rewire our brains to be happier people, and this exercise is such a beautiful display of that, of how you can really rewire who you are to experience more gratitude and more happiness on a daily basis. And then that becomes constant, and I can see how in times of trauma, and I've experienced this too, that it's easier to draw from that bank when you are recovering because it's already full, right?
Exactly. Like I said, just give yourself little things that you can accomplish every day. Then the next day, add 2 or 3 things more. Find happiness in the simple moments of life. And I also found when before in the past, I used to chase gratification instead of practice gratitude, but I've learned that once you start practicing gratitude, happiness beats a path to your door. And I also found when you become what you want to see in the world around you changes in amazing ways. So when you're coming back, if you want love, if you want wealth, if you want happiness, first have that inside and project that outwards. And, I believe in the power of manifestation. I believe in the power of visualization. Once you start to do this, the world changes around you in amazing ways. I know it sounds kind of hokey, a little, for a business podcast, but you got to remember, I'm a guy who wore spandex on TV.
No, I think it's all great input, and we've had a lot of people come on our show varying different niches and insights and degrees, and it really kind of reminds me of our interview with Dr. Bruce Lipton, Kamala, where he talked about how our mindset actually influences our genetics.
I believe 100% that's absolutely true. And if I could say one other thing, about this, it's also changing, I think, your output from what can I get to what can I give.
That's awesome. As we wrap up here, Dan, is there any kind of last thoughts that you want to leave the community of Thriving Launch with? Any kind of thing that you want to close the show out with that you want them to think about, or things that you're kind of thinking about for the end of the show here?
Yeah, I think, a lot of people think that one person doesn't have a lot of power, that they can't affect change in the world. Well, I fully believe that each person can change the world one human interaction at a time. And the scientific term for that is upstream reciprocity. The Dalai Lama said in each human interaction, we have a choice to make a person happier or not. And if you think about that, how many human interactions you have each day, from you're going to the store, from going to work. If you took that time and lifted someone up and made them happier, it creates a ripple effect of happiness, or what the scientific community calls upstream reciprocity. So I want everyone to think of their personal power and the profound effect they can have on people, and especially those people in the inner circle. If they can lift them up, if they can make them happier, they in turn will go out and lift other people up and make them happier. When we do this, we live in a world, I think, that's filled with happiness, meaning, and generosity. And that's definitely a world I'm committed to being a part of and want to live in.
That's a really fantastic place to close out. Thriving Launchers, hope you got something from today's episode. It's been really amazing to have Dan Clark here on the show. I really was reminded of how important it is to stop trying to chase gratification and find ways to really be grateful on a daily basis, moment by moment, and how that really can make a big impact in what I'm doing and how I do it and how I make an impact in other people's lives. So I hope you got something, and Thriving Launchers, take it with you and go out and keep thriving.
You've been listening to the Thriving Launch podcast. For books and resources related to today's episode, make sure to head over to thrivinglaunch.com. We'll see you there.